Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I forgot what day it was because usually I go live on Fridays, but today I will be teaching the GoLetterPress card class. This will be recorded and it'll be available after as well. So if you guys can't watch the full thing, no worries. You can always skip back and come back later to give it a watch. And without further ado, I think we're gonna get started. All right, so I'm gonna flip my camera over. And I'm just gonna recenter my base because I didn't realize it was not in line with the camera. So I'm gonna fix that. There we go. All right, so if you guys got the bundle, it would have come with your platform, a little black VersaFine ink, 2 rolls of this low-tack tape. Love that stuff. It does not tear your cardstock, which is awesome. A pack of cotton cardstock, as well as your rose and your birdhouse impression stamps. And I think that was everything. I don't think I'm missing anything that was in the bundle. And then I'll show you guys the cards that we'll be making today. So there are 4 different styled cards. I do have like 2 different versions. I've got 2 different versions of the same ones. Hello, Maddie. So this is one of the cards. We'll be using Lisa Horton's inks to color. So if you've got any water markers, or not markers, water pens or brushes, grab that. If not, just a regular paintbrush and some water will do. Then the next one we'll be doing is just this basic black and white. I like to add these little rhinestones because I find it adds a little bit more to the card. We'll be doing this kind of ombre look with the stamps. And then my favorite one is this one where we do this debossed look where we actually don't ink. I inked the sentiment. I have one without an ink too. And I'll show you this one. And then I did one that I wanted to show you guys. I'm not going to do it today, but I did it with a yellow blending ink first, debossed, and then I put a pink over top. On camera, it doesn't show as well as in person. Then we've got same thing with the birdhouse. So I'm going to go over everything again to have on hand in case you guys don't have it, so you can run and grab it. First, acetate. This is optional. I'll get into that in a minute. You don't need it for any of this, but I suggest it. You're going to want little foam sponges. If not, grab some maybe Q-tips or a wet paper towel or baby wipes will do. You're going to want 2 foam brushes. This is going to be what we use for the debossed look, because if you're using a brush with bristles, you won't get that effect with the white. So you're going to want the flat ones. The dome ones work too, where it's got that arch on the top. Either or work. Just no brushes. And then I also have a stamp to show you guys in the stencil how the platform can be used to its full potential. Additionally, just some spare regular paper or cardstock. So to get started first, I'm going to show you one tip that I have to keeping your base clean. So I'm going to take these out. We won't need these little adapters until the end when I show you the full use of the platform. So I'm just going to set these on the back of my machine here, just so I don't lose them. Also, this is the gotcha tool from Sizzix. It is amazing. I love it. You'll see me use it a lot. So I like to use my acetate over top of my platform because you can see this one is dirty. I did not do this the first couple times I used it and inked right on my base. And it's really hard to get off. There is an archival ink remover that works pretty good with removing ink off of this base. But to prevent that, it's a cheaper option, is just a piece of acetate. And I take a little bit of a stronger tape than the low tack tape that comes in the pack in this bundle, just because it's stronger and I find it just holds a lot better. So I'm just going to tape this down. So I just need a little bit of tape and put some of that down, and I'm going to do the other side. This just makes it a lot easier to clean up, and it makes your platform look a lot cleaner as well. All right. So you will notice with the platform, there are 3 different sizes of cardstocks that you can put in here, as well as your center point and on both the lid and the base. So we're going to start with this style of card first, because you're going to want no ink on your impression stamp, because if you ink it, then the ink will likely transfer. So we're going to do it with a nice clean one first. And I'm going to do it, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I think I'm going to do this style, the more square. So I'm going to grab my birthday wishes, and I always use, when I'm placing this down, if there are any questions too, or if I'm going too fast, let me know in the comment section. But I always use the grid on the base to line up my sentiments to keep it nice and straight. All right, that should be good. This is a magnetic base as well, so these are on here very tightly. They're hardly going to budge. I mean, obviously it's going to move enough that you can get it off. Even then, it's like on there quite good. So my tip is I use my fingernail, just push it off the corner a bit, and then you can pick it up if you need to. So these stay in place really nicely because of the magnetization. All right, now I'm going to take a piece of my GoLetterPress white cardstock. I just need 1 sheet right now, but I'm going to take them all out just so you guys don't have to hear the plastic the rest of the tutorial. All right, so I'm going to take 1 sheet, and I'm going to tape this in the lid using the tape that comes in the kit. This, again, is a low-tack tape, so it's not going to tear your cardstock. It honestly kind of feels like medical tape. And then I'm just going to line it up in those 4 corners. So I've got a nice straight image. And I like to do, oops, that was, actually, honestly, that might work. I like to tape all 4 corners for this, just because I do not want anything to move. So I'm going to tape the 4 corners. Now we are going to run this through our machine. So I'm going to set this stuff aside, move that out of the way, close it up, and then I'm going to grab my machine and we're going to run it through. So it looks like I did not have a perfectly clean stamp. I can still see some of my on there. So I have a feeling if I run it through again, I might not have that, and that's going to bug me. So I'm going to do it again. I guess I didn't do a very good job cleaning my platform. And then the second one we're going to do, I'm going to show you how I add a shim to make it even more debossed. So this first one, all we're doing is using just 1 piece of cardstock with this. And I'm going to grab a bit of a damp baby wipe and just try my best to clean that all off. I'm hoping running that through once got all the black ink off. It didn't look like there was any, so that was my bad. Okay, I'm going to line my sentiment back up, although I probably might need to dry this a little bit. I've got paper towel here, just in case it's wet. All right, and just relining that up. All right, that looks good. I've got my paper there, so now let's do this again and hope I got all that ink removed. There we go. Looks like I left a little bit at the bottom, but that is okay. So now we are going to set that aside and we're going to do one with the birdhouse as well. So I'm going to take these out. My tape is not pushed down enough. Just make sure it's nice and secure. I'm going to set this aside and we're going to come back to it. This time I'm going to add a shim. So how I add my shim is I grab usually 2 pieces of cardstock. And you can either do it 2 ways. Tape it to your lid and then tape your piece over top. So you could have shims on this side, or you could do it down here where you tape it and put this over top. Because this is magnetized, so it's going to stay in place. You can see it's not budging on the paper, but because the paper is slippery, it'll move. So I think I might do it on the bottom. And I'm going to tape this down. I'm going to use no, I'll just use the thin cardstock. I was going to use the thick one because I didn't care if I tore my paper, but we'll just use the thick one. So I've got 2 layers of cardstock there. I'm going to make sure this doesn't move by just taping it. Now this magnet is in here good, so I'm just going to let it stay there. Now the one downfall with putting it down at the bottom versus the top is you can't see the grid lines to make this straight, so I probably should have done it the other way. But you can learn from my mistake. So yeah, to keep it straighter, it's better to do it on the lid, but this is just how I'm doing it for now. I don't want this one. I don't know why I'm putting that on. So I'm going to use my nail, push it to the corner, get that off. And I'm going to grab my birdhouse. It's stuck on here good too. This stuff is so magnety. I don't even know if that's a word, but I made it up for today. I guess it's a strong magnet is what I should say. All right, before I put this on, I'm going to grab that baby wipe again and try and get all that ink off. Looks like there was some ink left on, so. Okay, that should be good. Dry that. And then I'm going to place my birdhouse. I don't care if my Just For You has ink on it because I'm probably going to ink it second. Then in the lid, I don't even think I need a full piece of cardstock. So I'm going to trim my cardstock down a bit to 3.5. And then I'm going to put this in the center, in the top, using that low tack tape. Right. Take that down. And then I'm going to close it. And I can see that there is no metal popping out the sides, so I know it's all going to be covered. Now I'm going to run this through my machine. It will be a little bit tighter because you've got that shim, but it's not going to break anything. And then open it up. Now I'm going to remove this carefully without touching my sentiment. And I just moved my paper. So we're going to take this all up now. Okay, so you can see I've got some black ink down there, but that's okay. Should have cleaned it better. And I'm going to take this out because I don't need the black anymore. And just take that down. All right, so now we're going to do some blending over top. So I'm going to set that all aside. I'm going to start with the rose, and I'm going to just tear all the pieces off. And since I have 2 that are already pink, I'm going to switch up the color this time. I'm going to I want the color to pop. I think I'm actually going to stick with pink. I was going to do a yellow, but do I try it? Decisions. Let's just try it. We're going to do the yellow. Oh, but I didn't grab a yellow sponge. Never mind. This is what happens when I craft. I go back and forth all the time. Okay, I'm doing the pink because I have a pink sponge ready. So I'm going to pick up some color on my brush. I hope this is juicy enough. And then you're just going to blend over top. And as you blend, you're going to notice the debossed image starting to shine through. You don't need too much pressure. You just kind of want to lightly go over top. And then you can build the pigment as well. And the reason I'm taking a little bit off my brush first before I add it to my page is because I don't want, as soon as I put my brush down, it to be heavy pigment. I like to build the color more. So you can see it's starting to come to life. On camera, it just doesn't do it justice versus in person. So if anyone is doing this along with me, they're probably understanding what I'm saying when they look at my image. So I'm going to keep blending because I do want, especially that rose, to be nice and pink. And this one, we didn't add any shims behind. This is just one fun way to letterpress. It's a little bit different than what it's actually intended for, but it's a lot of fun to do. Plus, it's another way just of being creative and working with your impression stamps. So now I'm just kind of blending all around the flower because I'm going to end up trimming this down. And this cardstock is like a textured it's a cotton cardstock, but it almost does remind me of watercolor paper too. I am going to be doing watercoloring with it, and it works quite well. Right, I'm just going to add a bit more over top. All right, so you can see my image has now showing quite well now that I've inked over top. I just wish the camera would do this justice. Now I'm just going to trim off the edges because I don't need this big of a piece of cardstock. I'm going to clean this up because I'm going to do a different color. I'll do blue for the birdhouse. So trim this. I love this style. I have so many of this birthday card because it's one of my favorite impression stamps, and it's just a beautiful, elegant style, in my opinion. So we've got that. Obviously, I might go down at the bottom a bit more later, but for now, I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to do my birdhouse. So I'm going to take off the paper. You have to be more careful pulling the tape off your paper because it was more pressure added. It will make it a little bit more easily tearable. Again, another word I'm coming up with, terrible. Actually, no, that sounds terrible. Oh my gosh, people are probably getting annoyed by me right now. All right, so now this is the extra debossed. And I did have a bit of ink left on here, so I didn't manage to clean it perfectly. So it's a little bit gray, but that's okay. My rose one was much cleaner. And I like using Lisa Horton inks because they're so blendable. This is my favorite brand of inks, is Lisa's. You guys see me use it all the time. The Studio Light ones are very good as well. I just love all the color ranges she's come out with, and they're just so amazing with blending. All right, so add a bit more blue. All right, so now I've got my birdhouse. I'll bring it closer so you guys can see that detail. All right, Okay, I'm going to set that aside too, and we're going to move on to the next thing. So again, I'm going to clean up my surface just so I don't get anything dirty that I don't want dirty. All right, now the next card we are going to do is the ombre style here. So we're going to grab our platform again. And I'm going to do the rose first. So I'm going to put the full sheet in just because I'll be making it probably longer. This time, switch it up a bit. And then grab some of that tape. It is getting hot in this studio with all these lights on. Finally, we're getting some good weather here in Canada. If you guys are watching anywhere, Ontario, if you guys are watching anywhere outside of Ontario, let me know where you are. I think we've got someone from BC watching. Right, so I've got my cardstock in. Now I'm going to grab my rose. And I've already got a semi-dirty rose. I'm going to keep my other one clean. So I'm just going to do it, I think, straight like that. Then birthday wishes. And then just using the grid to make sure that's nice and straight. All right, now we're going to create those pink flowers in the green base. So you can either do an ombre where you just do kind of your colors everywhere. This is where the pink and the yellow and the green come in hand, or you can use your teeny dobblers. So for this, I'm just going to do it without any of the dobblers to show you guys. Florida, US. Wow, you guys, I've just checked the temperature in Florida. It is so hot there, but it's also, I think, raining in Tampa. But wow, Maddie, I hope you're not getting too hot out there. Yeah, so I'm going to grab my pink, and I'm going to just do this in kind of random areas, just do some corners. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. I don't really necessarily want it perfect. Kind of not splotchy, but all different. So now I'm going to add my yellow. Probably should have done this color first, but who cares? Not me. Add some some yellow and some random spots. Now I'm going to go in with the green. And I'm mainly just kind of using the corner. And then with the green, I'm going to go in areas that I may not have stamped yet. And if I do miss any areas, I can always go again. And maybe I'll add just a little bit on the birthday wishes. All right. Now I'm going to take a baby wipe. This is when you're going to want to grab a wet. What is the doubler? I'll show you. These little dobblers, little small dobblers, I'll show you in the birdhouse version how we use this. But this is one way to do it without the dobblers. So I'm now just going to clean up my acetate with either a baby wipe or if you've got a wet paper towel. Because if I feed this through, the colors will transfer. If it's really close to your stamp, usually it's pretty good, but if it's further out on the outside, it will transfer. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to run it through, close it up. Dauber. Sorry, I keep saying doubler, I think, but it's a dauber. All right, so I did miss some areas, as you can see right there. So I'm going to go back in again. I'm not going to move anything. I'm going to grab that pink and add that to the little flower that I missed. And now I'm looking at it and just want to make sure I'm covering all the areas I missed. It looks like maybe this one needs some more. This could use a bit more. And petal down here. All right, now I'm going to grab my green. And it looks like I missed the end of this flower sticking out. And up here. Okay, that should be good now. Run that through a second time. All right, there we go. I've got it all covered now. So I'm going to take this out. Oh, wait, I'm looking at my bee. I'm going to have to do that again. Actually, no, it's okay. So you can see my wishes looks pretty cool. It's got all those colors. And then this is my rose. Nice little ombre look. I should have added more yellow. We'll do that to the next one. Okay, I'm going to take this out now. And we're going to do the birdhouse. And this is what I'm going to do with the daubers. I feel like I've been saying dobblers. It's like gobble, gobble. Dobble, dobble. And my just for you sentiment. If I can pick it up. There we go. And again, I'm going to use that other half that I cut because this is such a small stamp. I know I'll be able to get it all covered. Some tape. Oh, that was way too much tape. A little bit overboard. And then again, just mounting this in the center. Oops, if I can tape it correctly, that would be helpful. There we go. And then I still got some left here. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to grab my daubers. I'm going to take one more out because I don't have a green one. I prefer the Studio Light ones because they are more dense. They're less airy for this especially. And I'm going to grab the same colors I had last time, some green, some pink, and some yellow. I actually will need to grab a second sponge. This is why I don't normally teach, just because I am so all over the place, but hopefully it's not driving you guys crazy. And I'm going in the pink, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to pick up some pink, and I'm going to apply the pink on the flowers. And this just makes it a lot more specific and easier to specifically place your flower colors and your house colors. So adding the flower colors. And if I get any in areas that I do not want covered, because I am doing that to some places, I'm going to take a little Q-tip, either a Q-tip or these are teeny daubers from Hunky Dory. I love these things. And I'm just going to run it along the areas that I do not want the pink on. This is just going to remove it and clean it up a little bit. Got some on my house that I do not want on there. I'm going to make a green house, not a pink one. All right. I feel like that is pretty good. However, I did miss a spot, so I'm going to add a little bit more. This covered. Okay, that looks good. So now you're going to want to make sure that your tape is nice and secure because you're going to be running this through a couple times likely. So I'm going to run this after I add some yellow. So I'm going to grab a sponge because I want this part to be kind of ombre. So I'm going to pick up yellow. Oops. I'm going to do green after I run these two through. This will create an orange color. So I'm going to do some yellow in areas I haven't covered yet. And then I'm going to, as I work into it, add it into the pink and that'll create that yellow and orange and pink ombre. I might even add some on the leaves because I know when I add green there, it'll slightly alter the color. And just add yellow in random parts just to make an orange. Okay, so that is done. Now I'm gonna run this through and then we'll do the green. So make sure everything's secure. My tape's nice and secure. Close it up. Grab your machine. Hello, Lisa. I hope you are doing well. I've missed you joining. All right, so we have got, you can see this nice ombre. Some of that tape is lifting, so I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and secure still. Okay, so now I'm going to do the green. Grab my green color, and I'm just going to use the one that had yellow on it. Pick up the green, and I'm going to fill in the rest of the house and some of that greenery where the leaves are. And I did just get some on my flowers, so I'm going to have to remove that with the little dauber. And my Just For You sentiment, I am just going to add pink directly over the top. Okay, that should be good. Take my sponge. I did make my baby wipe, a little bit of a mess. Whoops, and I just ever so lightly moved my stamp. Of course, you want to be super careful doing this. I think I might be able to save it. Yeah, just be careful cleaning up because you don't want to move it like I just did. All right, that should be good. I don't think I got any other mess out. And hoping to God I didn't move that too much. And then we'll run this through again. All right. So I think it is perfect. I think me moving that slightly back was perfect because it looks great to me. So this is with the dauber versus without the dauber. And the reason I ran it through 2 separate times was because I knew if I added the green at the same time as all the other colors, it may have made it a little bit muddier and a little bit more difficult when I'm cleaning up the edges of colors I don't want. But yeah, that turned out really nicely. Okay, now I'm going to move along to just let's do the black and white. So I am going to take this off, clean up my base first because I knew I had some ink left on there. Now we're going to do the rose. I'm just going to make sure that there's not really much color left on here. That should be good. And place this. I'm going to do this one straight up and down. My birthday wishes. Take, if there's any leftover ink on that, off. That should be good. And then I'm going to line this up using the grid underneath again. All right, I'm going to take a full sheet for this one because it is going to be larger. Gotta run. Looks beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, need my low-tack tape again. Thank you, Karen. And I'm going to tape this down. There we go. I'm like very picky with this, so it usually takes me a little bit longer than it needs to. And the last 2 corners. All right, now let's do the black ink. So I'm going to be using this. I think this one's almost out of ink. This one I think might be good. This is the Cloud9 Solid Black ink from Lisa Horton. My favorite black. Actually, no, I'm not using that. I'm using the VersaFine. This came in the kit, and plus this is way juicier than that one is right now anyway. This one's a really good size for letter pressing. It prevents a mess because of the size of it. However, I just made a mess by saying that. And then I'm going to do the sentiment. Right, now I did make a little bit of some hiccups, so I'm just going to clean up the black that I got on the acetate. And then just make sure everything looks good. Okay, and close that up. And run that through the machine. All right, so we have got the black and white out now. And I'm going to do it 2 times because you're going to want to have your black and white, and then you're also going to want to have one that you can color in. So I'm going to tape the second one in. Oops, I just did that crooked. There we go. And then tear that. All right. Now I'm going to add that black ink again. Oops. If I can hold on to it, there we go. I've got nails, so I always struggle holding on to things. And just pat it all over. So this is a VersaFine ink pad, and this is meant for watercoloring. So this will be perfect for what we're going to do with our Lisa Horton inks in those water brushes. Take this again and just wipe up where I made a mess. And I think that's good. I did move my stamp, or my, it's impression stamp, and run that through. All right, now this is going to get a little bit repetitive because we're going to do the same thing with the birdhouse, and then we're going to get to coloring that in. So I don't need this anymore, but I do want to just get some of that black ink off. Then take that off. And make sure that acetate's down nice. I'm going to just wipe off any of that ink that's on here. And you may have noticed that when I'd used the Doubler, it did make the inside green. However, that green did not transfer. I don't know what the magic in that is, but there's no green inside the house. It amazes me that it doesn't do that because it's so deeply impressed that the black or the green, it just didn't move, which is nice. Put that down. Now I am going to cut another piece of that cardstock in half to 3.5 inches, just because I don't want to waste it since this stamp is so small. So I'm going to take my guillotine and cut it to 3.5. And then set this aside. I'm going to use it right after anyway. And honestly, 2 pieces of tape will probably, should be enough to hold it at the top and the bottom. And then close it up, make sure nothing's peeking out. My black ink. Also, all of the Lisa Horton inks do work on the LetterPress impression stamps, which is awesome. And just clean it up if I got black anywhere, because that will transfer to your card stock. Okay, that looks good. Close it up, run it through. Got one more to go, and then we'll get back to having some fun again. I know this part's a little bit repetitive, but it's worth it, trust me. All right, so that black looks good. So again, I'm gonna set that aside, grab the other half that I cut out, and then tape this in the middle. And then last time we're gonna do this, this is gonna be our black ink pad again. Just go over top of everything. Okay, that looks good. And just cleaning up any areas. That looks good now. Okay, close it up, run it through. Alrighty, so we're gonna take this out. We're gonna set the machine aside and take the stamps out because we don't need them anymore. And I'm actually gonna take the acetate out for now because I won't need it for the next thing we're gonna do anyway. So set those all aside. Now we're gonna get into the coloring. So I'm going to grab one of these. I only need one, I'll do that one. They both look the same. And the tip to this, to prevent warping of your paper, if I can find my tape, here it is, is to tape all along the top and the bottom down, nice and flat, because when it dries, this is going to help it dry flat. So tape that down. So now we're going to get into how we're going to color with the inks to do this. So I'm going to start with my pink because that's kind of the main part of this. And I'm just going to, on my craft mat or any surface that you're crafting on that will resist absorbing any of this, just put some down on your mat like so. Grab a watercolor brush, squeeze some water out to get it nice and wet. And then sometimes I don't want it too wet, so I always have a paper towel on the side to wipe my brush on. Plus, I'll always have a scrap piece of cardstock as well, just on the top, just to test before I add it to my card. I always test my colors before I go directly on my card because once it's on, you can't really get it off. And sometimes that can be really frustrating. So I'm just going to take this and just start coloring it. I'm going to take some color off my brush just to get some of the highlights to show through. And this part honestly might be the longest part of this whole class, so I'll try and go through this as quickly as I can. And as I'm blending the color to the edge of the petal, I'm taking more and more off. Let me actually try and bring this closer for you guys to see. Hold on, I just got to move some things out of my way. I cannot get this magnet off. There we go. So you guys can see it a little bit closer here now. Okay, set that aside and then pick up some color, test it down. Then I'll add a dark color to one side. Normally add the color, well, that's supposed to be green. And then as I run out, I'll go back to areas I haven't colored and go back in with that lighter pink. And it'll create that ombre / more realistic looking flower. And then I'll always go heavier handed in the middle because the middles are usually the darkest parts of the flower. And then if I've got maybe not enough on my brush, I can always add it in after. And I'm just going to keep adding some colors and just blending them. So since this isn't a true watercolor, it won't really activate after you've added stuff onto it. So you're going to want to do it fairly quick. However, you can always add color over top. So it's really not a big deal. Add some there. What shall we talk about? We've got some Christmas stuff finally going to start coming in soon. So I'm very, very excited to start building some Christmas cards for you guys to see. I'm sure Mary Ann is going to do a Christmas class as well, which will be exciting. She always creates gorgeous cards. But lots of exciting Christmas products from lots of our brands coming in, which I cannot wait for. All right. Oh, and this Friday, if anyone does watch me on my regular Facebook Lives, I'm doing Ciao Bella, and I'm showing this awesome house that I built. It's like a little dollhouse. I'm obsessed with it. So make sure you watch me on Friday. Okay, I've got one flower done and more to go. But yeah, lots of things in the works here at Ecstasy Crafts. For our in-store people, we also have some exciting stuff planned coming up too. So keep your eyes out for our Facebook and our newsletter. And we still have card classes that will be run through as well. So keep your eyes out for other classes that we're doing. I think Marianne right now is in the process of doing a rice paper one for you guys. So if you're interested in how to use rice paper, or you've never worked with it and want to try it, definitely join the class. Love your house. Can't wait for the lights. Yes, Maddie, she got to see a little preview of the house already when it wasn't fully finished. So it is finally done. I just finished it later yesterday. And then I was showing customer in store June. She'll probably be watching this. So hi, June. And she bought it and fell in love with it too. So when you guys see it, you're going to want it. All right, now these, I'm almost done. My rows, I'm just going to do this quickly. All right. I have a habit of forgetting some flowers and then doing the flower and then forgetting again still. So I think I've got all my flowers done. Now I'm going to add that green in. Done with the pink. Clean that up. Exact same thing that we did with the pink, just with the green. And I'm just going to wipe my brush off and it's clean enough. Then add that water in. Pick some up. You guys can probably hear Mary Ann in the background. She's giggling. And then just trying to do that dark in the middle, take a little bit off, and go lighter around the edges. Dark in the center, take some off, and just lighten it up. This is a good thing to use if you don't have many coloring materials. You can always use your ink pads and just water, and it kind of creates your own watercolor. All right, last but not least, there we go. So I would let that flatten to dry, but I'm going to end up needing this space, so I'm going to set this aside. But yeah, if you leave it taped down, I could even tape it somewhere flat now. This is my rose. All right, and then we're going to do the birdhouse, and this time we're going to mix colors. So I've already got green there, so I'm going to leave the green, and we're going to do the green first. So I'm going to tape this down. I'm actually going to use my blue tape because it sticks better to this glass mat. that good enough. All right. Now I'm going to go in with the green and do the leaves. And this does not have to be as like ombre or lighter to darker because it is such a tight image. It's a little bit hard to do it that way anyway. So do whatever your heart desires. All right, I've got one leaf here I'm missing. One more. All right. Oh, and I've still got some down here. Okay. Now I'm going to add in, take that off. I'm going to do pink, but I'm going to do 2 spots. So one pink here, one pink here. I'm going to do some yellow beside that pink, and then some yellow on its own. And this is going to create my orange. So I'm going to take a little bit of that green off, activate the ink into more liquid with that water, brush them off so it's not too wet. I don't want it soaking wet. Thank you, Karen. I'm going to start by these 2 colors, the orange. All right, test that color off. Perfect. Pick some of that up, and now I'm just going to start coloring in my flowers. So the nice thing about using the inks with this again is you're going to create colors that you wouldn't otherwise be able to create with just another coloring material. So it's always fun to blend your inks to create new colors, like here with the orange. And then I could always go over top with some of that yellow if maybe it's too pink. That was too much. Get some pink. I want this nice vibrant, so I'm not going to add too much. And I do find that with the debossing of the LetterPress, it makes this watercoloring process so easy. You'll see, like, I'm doing it fairly quick because they're all staying in the lines. And I think that's because of the deboss. It helps make it cleaner. Okay, now I'm going to wipe that off, pick up some yellow, and do a yellow flower. Don't think I put enough yellow down. I might need more. Yeah, I need more yellow. So just take some yellow. And I'm going to go back over top. There we go. It's a bit brighter now. I'm going to pick up some of that yellow because it was kind of too pinky here. Pick up some more orange. Do this one orange. I'm going to need more yellow. Blend that all in. I really want it pigmented. There we go. Nice yellow here. I just realized I missed a leaf. I'll have to do that later. Worry about it later. And do the flowers here. Okay, so I feel like you guys get the point now, so I'm going to hurry up. And we're going to do the brown. So I'm going to just wipe all of this because it's easier to do the brown with this. And using these 3 colors, I'm going to create brown. So I've got pink. I've got green. And then my yellow. And I do want a bit more green because it is so dark. It's going to help with that brown. Activate it with some of that water. Blend it together and you can see that brown starting to shine through. Test it off. Looks great. Okay. Now I don't want this too wet, so I'm going to take some off. And now I'm just going to color in the birdhouse. And I'm going to go darker at the top, and then as I drag it down, make it lighter near the bottom. And again, I am doing this pretty messily, but it's watercolor, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, almost done. And obviously, the more of the ink pad ink that you add, the more pigmented and it'll be. But this is looking very good. And then I have to do my branch, and I don't want my branch to be too close to the birdhouse color, so I'm going to add a bit more green into that and some yellow. So this yellow I think needs to be re-inked because it's definitely getting dry. And then some green. Then blend some of that brown into that. And then we'll do the branch. All right, that looks good. Alrighty, so that is it colored in. So we've got the birdhouse and then my flower still drying. So we'll set those aside. Then we've got our two black ones. So quickly, I'm going to recap everything we just did and talked about with the letter pressing. And then after I'm done that, we're going to go over the 4-in-1 use. Okay, so I'm just going to clean this out quickly. Give me 1 sec. Get this out of the way. Set that aside. Don't put this on here. Card samples, my water brushes. Okie dokie. So, to go over what we just did, to start with, we did, where did I put those? Oh, here they are. We did our debossing and then blending over top with no ink, and then we did it with the birdhouse. So we've got 2 of those. Then we did our ombre. We did one with the dobblers because it is, you can see, looks a little bit less muddy than with the flower. It's a lot lighter of a color. Then we did this one with just multiple ink pads over top of each other. I really like how that wishes turned out. It'll focus. Nope. Then we did the black and the white, just some classic ones. And again, I'll show you, I just liked to add rhinestones and mount it over the black cardstock because it really pops nicely. Thank you, Maddie. Then we did the coloring, which was a lot of fun as well. All right, now we're going to use other ways of working with this. So I'm going to try and move my camera back a little bit again. Hopefully it's not too crooked. I'll have to figure this out later. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you guys. Okay, I don't need the acetate again, so I'm going to set that aside because I'm not doing normal letter pressing. So I'm going to kind of go over the functions. Thank you, Maddie. It is very elegant. I agree, especially the black and the white, if that's what you're talking about. I find that the most elegant. Anyway, so I'm going to go over what you can use this for. So it is a magnetic base, and it comes with, where did I put that? Here. Comes with these 2 metal adapters that magnetize onto your platform here. It also has 2 holes, and the lid is removable. So if you didn't want all of this hanging maybe off in your way, you're going to want to remove the lid. And when you do it, just make sure you're pulling with where the opening is. You don't want to be pulling against it. It always sounds scary, but trust me, it's a very, very, very durable product. I've never had anything break or anybody say that they had an issue with it. Then you just snap it back on. And once it's all clicked in, it's back to good. Oops, I didn't click it all in. There we go. Now it's clicked in. All right, then this is your stamping platform, and then you've got your stenciling. Okay, so let's do the stamping. Since I've got my lid back on, this is gonna be the second use with it. I've got a piece of cardstock. So this is gonna be opposite to what you're doing with your letterpressing, where your stamp goes up here and your paper goes down here. So I'm gonna take a little piece of tape, take this tape, and center that in the markings. Then I'm going to take a stamp. This is just a random stamp that I have had for ages. Pick it up. Then on the lid, I'm going to grab my VersaFine ink pad. Hope you guys like that clicking sound. Then close it up, stamp it down. Voila. And then since it is all of it is in its spot, nothing moves, it is always going to stamp back in the exact same spot you just did. So I'm going to stamp this a second time to make it darker for you guys to see that you can stamp multiple times and your image is not going to move. This is going to be darker again because I did add more ink. And voila, we've got a perfect stamped image. So it works great as a stamping platform. I'll remove this. Try and not ink my fingers. Set that aside. Take this out. Now we'll do the stenciling aspect. Actually, we'll do a 2-in-1 kind of aspect. It's the magnetization of the base, which you could use maybe if you were building a card. So I actually kind of have something here I can use to demo with. So this is what I'm going to be doing Friday. So a little sneak peek. So if you've got your platform, I'm going to have to do it sideways. I can use it to map out my card because it's magnetized before adhering everything. So I could do it like this. All of that stuck in place. Then if I had this, I wanted to add down, I could put my other magnet there. So you could use it to build your card. And just make sure I don't lose all my pieces here. And then I'm going to pop the lid off because I actually don't need it on for the stenciling aspect. So I'm going to make sure I'm going with the open hinge. I just don't want my hand to go flying back. There we go. I know it always sounds scary and it seems scary, but this is in perfect condition. I have no chips or anything, so you don't need to worry. I'm also quite weak, so that's why it took me longer than most people would. So I'm going to put my base in here. I've got a random little stencil. And I like to use it like this to hold my stencil into place. There are holes, so if you've got a stencil that has holes that it'll fit into, you can use it like so by hooking it in the hole. However, I prefer to use the stencil aspect like this. Then I'm going to grab my brush. This is my favorite color. It's the Dusty Rose that I've been using this whole time. I like to take a little bit off again and then just start to blend. And this makes it so there's no hands needed. Your hands aren't getting inked up. Oh, and it moved, of course, as I say that. Didn't move last time I did this, of course. Maybe I need that moved up a bit. There we go. Wow, Of course, as I'm live, this happens. During my class in store, we did not have this issue. I don't know what it is with my luck in lives. I somehow managed to always have something not go right when it normally always goes right for me. So obviously you could use your hand too to help. And you'll notice my paper moved, but not my stencil. So I'll do that again so you guys can see my stencil's moving. I mean, my paper's moving, but not the stencil since I'm holding it down and doing it quite rough. And then I'll just move my magnets around so I can get those areas I haven't done yet. Oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? This never happens. Maybe because I'm using a different cardstock? I don't know. This is not my normal cardstock. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Voila, we've got your stencil. All right, now my hands are inked. I need to get that off. Alrighty, I think I've gone over just about everything. You guys, obviously, I'll show you again how I mounted my cards. So with the same ink I used to color in my flower, I inked the background with that and then cut it down and then just layered it again. I really like how that turned out. This one, I just did an ombre effect using, again, the exact same colors I used on my stamp. This one I just mounted on the white because I wanted that white to help pop with the white behind the flower, or I guess where the flower was stamped in. Another one, and same idea with that and that. All right, I think I have touched on everything I wanted to. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope you guys learned something. Hopefully you guys had fun. And again, make sure you come back on Friday at 12 o'clock and I will be doing a Ciao Bella Facebook Live. I'll be putting that card together that you guys saw a little sneak peek of. All right, take care, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Bye, everyone.